Today's true story from the Bible comes from the book of Exodus, chapters 7 through 12. By the time Moses grew up, God's people, the Israelites, had suffered as slaves in Egypt for over 400 years. God told Moses to take his brother Aaron with him to Pharaoh and demand that the Israelite people be set free. Moses and Aaron obeyed. They stood before the Pharaoh, the most powerful ruler of Egypt, and gave him God's message. The Lord, the God of Israel, says, "Let my people go." But Pharaoh was angry. He refused and made the Israelite slaves work even harder. God then did incredible things to show he was the one who was in control. He sent 10 plagues or troubles on the land of Egypt. God told Aaron to strike the waters of the Nile River with his staff. Before their very eyes, the beautiful fresh water turned to thick blood, killing all of the fish and sending a horrible smell into the air. Moses and Aaron returned to Pharaoh and asked him again to let the people go, but he said no. 7 days later, God told Aaron to stretch his hand over the water, and suddenly there were frogs everywhere. They made their way into the people's homes and wriggled down into their beds and into their clothes and their shoes. But Pharaoh still refused to set the people free. Next, God told Aaron to strike the ground. When Aaron's staff met the ground, the dust flew up and into a great swarm of gnats. In fact, all the dust throughout the whole land of Egypt turned into these tiny flying bugs, which buzzed all around the people and the animals. Still, Pharaoh said no when asked to let the people go. After that, God sent more plagues that affected the Egyptians, but this time the Israelites were safe. Millions of flies buzzed, animals died, painful sores popped up on people's skin, a storm sent giant hail to the earth, giant bugs ate the crops, and there was even total darkness for 3 days. It was a terrible time in the land of Egypt. Even though Moses and Aaron asked many times, Pharaoh kept saying no. God had given Pharaoh many chances to obey him and to help his people. But Pharaoh's heart was hardened, and he refused. As a result, the 10th plague was going to be the worst of all. God instructed Moses and Aaron to tell the Israelite people to take the blood of a lamb and paint it on the doorposts of their houses. For that night, the Lord would pass through Egypt and strike down the firstborn of every family and animal whose home did not have the blood of the lamb. And God did just as he said. Even Pharaoh himself lost his firstborn son. He summoned Moses and Aaron to him, and once again they demanded, "Let God's people go." And this time Pharaoh said, "Get out! Take all of your people and all of your things and leave." The Israelite people wasted no time. They quickly gathered whatever they could and set out toward freedom.